The story begins in the vast, desolate wasteland of planet Vegeta, where the remnants of the Saiyan race have gathered to train and prepare for an impending threat. The once proud homeworld of the Saiyans had been destroyed decades ago, but its spirit lived on in the hearts of its warriors. Among them was son Gohan, the eldest son of Goku, who had grown into a formidable fighter in his own right. Though Gohan had always been more inclined toward scholarly pursuits, the looming danger had forced him to embrace his Saiyan heritage and push his limits like never before. The threat was none other than an ancient, malevolent force known as the Void King, a being who had been sealed away eons ago but was now on the verge of breaking free. The Void King's power was said to surpass even that of the gods of destruction, and his return would spell doom for the entire multiverse. Gohan, along with his father, Vegeta, and a handful of other Saiyan warriors, had been training relentlessly to prepare for this inevitable confrontation. Gohan stood at the center of the training grounds, his breathing steady as he focused his energy. His black hair shimmered under the twin suns of planet Vegeta, and his eyes burned with determination. Beside him stood Vegeta, the Saiyan prince, whose stern expression betrayed no emotion. Vegeta had always been a harsh mentor, pushing Gohan to unlock his latent potential. "You're still holding back," Vegeta growled, his voice sharp and commanding. "If you can't tap into your full power now, you'll be useless against the Void King." Gohan clenched his fists, his muscles tensing as he prepared to unleash his energy. He had always struggled to balance his human compassion with his Saiyan instincts, but today, he knew there was no room for hesitation. With a roar, Gohan's aura erupted, a brilliant golden light enveloping his body as he transformed into a Super Saiyan. The ground beneath him cracked under the sheer force of his power, and the air around him vibrated with energy. Vegeta smirked, clearly unimpressed. "Is that all you've got? The Void King will crush you before you even have a chance to blink." Gohan gritted his teeth, his resolve hardening. He knew Vegeta was right, his current strength was nowhere near enough to face the Void King. But deep within him, something stirred. It was a primal force, a power that had been dormant for years, waiting for the right moment to awaken. As Gohan focused on this inner energy, his aura began to change. The golden light intensified, shifting into a deeper, more vibrant hue. His muscles bulged, and his hair grew longer, spiking upward with an otherworldly glow. Vegeta's eyes widened in shock as he realized what was happening. This is impossible," he muttered. Gohan's transformation was unlike anything he had ever seen. The energy radiating from Gohan was overwhelming, far surpassing even that of a Super Saiyan Blue. Gohan had unlocked a new level of power, Super Saiyan 6. The transformation was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Gohan's eyes glowed with a fierce, almost feral light, and his aura crackled with raw energy. He felt an incredible surge of power coursing through his veins, as if his very bloodline had awakened. This was the true potential of his Saiyan heritage, a power that had been passed down through generations, waiting for the right warrior to wield it. Gohan's strength had increased by an astonishing 500 times, and he could feel every ounce of it. He turned to Vegeta, his voice calm but resolute. "I'm ready," he said. Vegeta nodded, a rare look of approval in his eyes. "Good. Now let's see what you can do." The two Saiyans squared off, their auras colliding in a dazzling display of power. Vegeta wasted no time, launching himself at Gohan with blinding speed. His fist connected with Gohan's chest, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. But Gohan didn't flinch. Instead, he countered with a swift uppercut, his fist glowing with energy as it struck Vegeta's jaw. The impact sent Vegeta flying backward, but he quickly recovered, his own aura flaring as he transformed into Super Saiyan Blue. The two warriors clashed again, their movements a blur of speed and precision. Each punch, each kick, was accompanied by a burst of energy that lit up the battlefield. Gohan's newfound strength allowed him to keep up with Vegeta's relentless assault, but he knew this was only the beginning. The real test would come when they faced the Void King. As the fight continued, Gohan began to experiment with his new abilities. He discovered that his energy attacks were far more potent in this form, capable of obliterating entire landscapes with a single blast. He fired a massive Kamehameha wave, its blue energy streaking across the sky like a comet. Vegeta countered with a Gallic gun, the two beams colliding in a spectacular explosion that shook the planet. The sheer force of their clash created a shockwave that sent both warriors skidding backward. Gohan grinned, his confidence growing with each passing moment. He could feel his power increasing, his body adapting to the demands of this new form. But he also knew that the Void King would be far stronger than anything he had ever faced. The battle ahead would be the ultimate test of his strength, his resolve, and his Saiyan bloodline. As the dust settled, Gohan and Vegeta stood facing each other, both breathing heavily but still ready to fight. Vegeta's expression was one of grudging respect. "You've come a long way, Gohan," he said. "But don't get cocky. The Void King won't hold back, and neither will I." Gohan nodded, his eyes narrowing with determination. "I know," he replied. "But I'm not afraid. I'll do whatever it takes to protect everyone." With that, the two Saiyans resumed their training, pushing each other to new heights of power. The fate of the multiverse depended on their strength, and they would not rest until they were ready to face the Void King. The stage was set for an epic battle, one that would test the limits of their abilities and the strength of their bonds. The awakening of Gohan's bloodline had only just begun, and the true fight was yet to come. The battlefield was a chaotic storm of energy blasts, shattered terrain, and blinding flashes of light. Son Gohan, now fully awakened to his latent potential, stood at the center of it all, his golden hair shimmering with an otherworldly aura as he ascended to the legendary Super Saiyan 6 form. His power had surged 500-fold, and the sheer magnitude of his energy sent shockwaves rippling across the planet. His opponent, a monstrous entity known as Zarkon, the destroyer of worlds, roared in defiance, its jagged, obsidian-like armor glinting under the crimson sky. Zarkon's eyes burned with malice, and its massive claws crackled with dark energy, ready to tear through anything in its path. The clash began with a thunderous collision as Gohan and Zarkon met in mid-air, their fists slamming together with such force that the ground below cracked and split apart. Gohan's movements were precise and calculated, his years of training under his father, Goku, and his own relentless discipline evident in every strike. He ducked under a sweeping claw, countering with a spinning kick that sent Zarkon skidding backward. But the beast was relentless, its dark energy surging as it launched a barrage of energy spheres toward Gohan. The Saiyan warrior dodged and weaved, his reflexes pushed to the limit as he deflected the attacks with bursts of his own energy. Gohan knew he couldn't rely solely on brute strength. Zarkon's durability was unmatched, and its dark energy seemed to grow stronger with every passing moment. Gohan's mind raced as he analyzed the creature's movements, searching for a weakness. He noticed a faint flicker in Zarkon's energy whenever it unleashed a massive attack, a brief moment of vulnerability. Gohan smirked, a plan forming in his mind. He feigned a retreat, luring Zarkon into a false sense of security. The beast took the bait, charging forward with a devastating energy blast. At the last second, Gohan teleported behind Zarkon, his hands glowing with a brilliant blue light. "Kamehameha," he shouted, unleashing a concentrated beam of energy directly into Zarkon's back. The explosion lit up the battlefield, and for a moment, it seemed as though the tide had turned. But Zarkon emerged from the smoke, its armor cracked but its resolve unbroken. The creature roared, its dark energy surging to new heights as it transformed into its final, most terrifying form. Its body grew larger, its claws elongating into razor-sharp blades, and its eyes glowed with an unholy light. Gohan gritted his teeth, feeling the strain of maintaining his Super Saiyan 6 form. He knew he couldn't hold out much longer, but he also knew he couldn't afford to lose. The fate of the universe depended on him. The battle escalated to new levels of intensity as Zarkon unleashed a flurry of attacks, each one more devastating than the last. Gohan countered with everything he had, his movements becoming faster and more fluid as he pushed past his limits. He combined his martial arts skills with his energy techniques, creating a dazzling display of power and precision. At one point, he channeled his energy into his fists, creating a pair of glowing energy gauntlets that allowed him to parry Zarkon's claws. The two combatants clashed again and again, their attacks shaking the very fabric of reality. As the fight wore on, Gohan began to feel the toll of his transformation. His body ached, and his energy reserves were dwindling. But he refused to give up. Drawing on the strength of his Saiyan heritage and the love he had for his family, Gohan tapped into a hidden reservoir of power. His aura flared brighter than ever, and his hair took on a shimmering, crystalline quality as he ascended even further. This was the pinnacle of his power, the culmination of all his training and sacrifices. With renewed vigor, Gohan launched a relentless assault on Zarkon, his attacks coming faster and harder than before. He used his newfound speed to outmaneuver the beast, landing blow after blow with pinpoint accuracy. Zarkon struggled to keep up, its dark energy flickering as it tried to counter Gohan's onslaught. Finally, Gohan saw his opening. He charged up a massive energy sphere, combining the power of the Kamehameha with his own unique energy signature. The sphere grew larger and brighter, its energy crackling with intensity. "This ends now," Gohan shouted, hurling the sphere at Zarkon with all his might. The explosion was cataclysmic, lighting up the sky and shaking the ground for miles around. When the smoke cleared, Zarkon lay defeated, its body broken and its dark energy dissipating into nothingness. Gohan stood victorious, his Super Saiyan 6 form slowly fading as he returned to his base state. He dropped to one knee, exhausted but triumphant. The battle had pushed him to his absolute limits, but he had emerged stronger than ever. As the dust settled, Gohan reflected on the fight. He had faced impossible odds and overcome them through sheer determination and the power of his Saiyan bloodline. But he knew this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, and there were always new challenges on the horizon. For now, though, he allowed himself a moment of peace, knowing that he had protected those he loved and upheld the legacy of his father and the Saiyan race. The battle was over, but the journey was far from complete. The final battle erupted with an intensity that shook the very fabric of the universe. The skies above the battlefield churned with violent energy, lightning crackling across the heavens as Gohan, now fully transformed into Super Saiyan 6, faced off against the monstrous villain, Zorgath. The once green fields of Earth were now a desolate wasteland, scarred by the relentless clashes of titanic forces. Gohan's golden aura burned brighter than ever, his hair a cascade of shimmering silver and gold, his eyes blazing with a mix of determination and fury. Zorgath, a towering figure of pure malice, roared with laughter, his dark energy swirling around him like a storm of destruction. "You think this new form of yours can stop me, boy? I am the embodiment of chaos itself," he bellowed, his voice echoing across the battlefield. Gohan clenched his fists, his muscles rippling with power as he replied, "This isn't just about power. It's about protecting everything I care about. And I won't let you destroy it." The clash began with a deafening explosion as Gohan and Zorgath collided, their fists meeting in a shockwave that sent tremors through the ground. Gohan's movements were a blur, his strikes precise and devastating, each blow carrying the weight of his newfound strength. Zorgath countered with brutal efficiency, his dark energy forming jagged blades that sliced through the air. The two titans exchanged blows at blinding speed, their attacks creating shockwaves that tore apart the landscape. Gohan's heart pounded in his chest as he pushed himself to the limit, his body straining under the immense power of Super Saiyan 6. He could feel the strain on his muscles, the burning in his veins, but he refused to back down. "I can't lose. Not now," he thought, his determination fueling his every move. As the battle raged on, Gohan began to notice something strange. Zorgath's attacks were growing weaker, his movement slower. The villain's dark energy, once overwhelming, was now flickering like a dying flame. Gohan's eyes narrowed as he realized the truth: Zorgath was running out of energy. The villain's reliance on chaos and destruction had left him vulnerable, his power unsustainable in the face of Gohan's relentless assault. "You're fading, Zorgath," Gohan said, his voice steady despite the exhaustion creeping into his body. "Your chaos can't last forever." Zorgath snarled, his eyes blazing with rage as he lunged at Gohan, but the young warrior was ready. With a swift motion, Gohan sidestepped the attack and delivered a powerful uppercut, sending Zorgath crashing into the ground. The impact created a massive crater, dust and debris flying into the air. Gohan hovered above, his breathing heavy but his resolve unshaken. He could feel the weight of the battle pressing down on him, the strain of maintaining Super Saiyan 6 pushing him to his absolute limit. But he knew this was the moment that would determine everything. Zorgath struggled to rise, his body trembling with effort. You can't defeat me," he roared, his voice filled with desperation. Gohan's eyes softened for a moment as he looked down at the fallen villain. "I don't want to destroy you, Zorgath," he said quietly. "But I can't let you destroy everything I love. This ends now." With those words, Gohan raised his hands, gathering every ounce of energy he had left. His aura flared brighter than ever, the sheer power causing the ground to crack and the air to shimmer. Zorgath's eyes widened in fear as he realized what was coming. "No! No!" he screamed, but it was too late. Gohan unleashed his ultimate attack, a massive energy blast that engulfed Zorgath in a blinding light. The explosion rocked the battlefield, the shockwave spreading for miles. When the light finally faded, Zorgath was gone, his dark energy dissipated into nothingness. Gohan fell to his knees, his body trembling with exhaustion. The transformation faded, his hair returning to its normal black as he struggled to catch his breath. The battlefield was silent, the only sound the faint crackling of energy in the air. Gohan looked around, his heart heavy with the weight of what he had done. He had won, but the cost had been immense. The once beautiful landscape was now a barren wasteland, a stark reminder of the destruction that had taken place. But as he looked up at the sky, he saw something that filled him with hope, the first rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds. The storm was over, and a new day was beginning. In the aftermath of the battle, the universe began to heal. The balance of power had shifted, and the threat of chaos had been vanquished. Gohan's actions had not only saved Earth but it also inspired countless others across the galaxy. His transformation into Super Saiyan 6 had shown that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, there was always hope. As the days passed, Gohan found himself reflecting on the journey that had brought him to this point. He had faced his fears, pushed himself beyond his limits, and discovered a strength he never knew he had. But he also knew that this was just the beginning. The universe was vast, and there were still challenges to face, battles to fight. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of peace, a chance to rest and recover. The final moments of the battle had been a turning point, not just for Gohan but for the entire universe. The defeat of Zorgath had sent ripples through the fabric of reality, altering the course of history in ways that would only become clear in time. But one thing was certain, Gohan's actions had changed everything. He had proven that even in the darkest of times, there was always a light to guide the way. And as he stood on the battlefield, looking out at the horizon, he knew that he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The future was uncertain, but with the strength of his friends and family by his side, Gohan was confident that they could overcome anything. The battle was over, but the journey was just beginning.